So we just wrapped up the Xbox Gamescom conference. And typically Gamescom doesn't really provide much in terms of like big announcements, big reveals. It's mostly just like, hey, like here's the other shit we were doing that wasn't like a huge deal during E3. So like here's that. And that's fine. But like I don't know. E3 didn't I literally forgot E3. Like I looked it up. I was like, Nintendo has a bunch of shit coming out this year, but I don't know what any of it is. I had to look up. I had to rewatch their E3 showcase to remember like what they announced. So I don't remember E3 like at all this year. It was extremely underwhelming to me. But anyways, overall, I think it's more or less what I expected. I think the only like really bad thing is that there's still no Halo release date. Like I thought for sure like if you're gonna do it, like it's either gonna be like you're gonna drop it in a blog post type deal, or you're gonna drop it here. Which means I'm just dropping in a blog post at this point. Like if game's still coming out this year, drop it in a blog post. But Halo's its own total separate thing and it's not here, so we're not even gonna really get into that right now. They did some pretty extensive looks at a lot of the games that they showed off. A lot of the games they showed off are stuff we've already seen or stuff that's coming relatively soon. In this case of Psychonauts, coming like literally the next day from when I'm recording this. So let's see. They had a scissor reel of Game Pass games that looks like retro-inspired games. Those look fine. They're Game Pass games. You're going to be able to play them with Game Pass. That's fine. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're not good. Maybe they're just all right. Honestly, in my book, if a game's just all right and it lands on Game Pass, that's a win. Like, for me. But, you know, to each their own. They talked a lot about Flight Simulator. The Top Gun DLC is still coming, but because it's related to the movie, they can't talk about it. They're coming out with a competitive multiplayer racing mode, which is cool. That comes out this year. Age of Empire 4, they talked about, they're like, hey, we got this new, like, cinematic thing we did where it's, like, we did a little, like, mini documentary, basically. It's, like, an hour of footage, they said, in total, spread throughout the campaign about, like, certain units or, like, events, things like that. It actually looks really well done, so that was cool. Still coming to Game Pass on the 28th of October, but it's not, I think it's PC only still. I don't think there's any, as far as I'm aware, there's no plans to bring it to Xbox. Into the Pit, I don't know if that was announced or not. It's not something I'd seen before. It's coming out on the 19th of October. It looks like an arena dungeon type of game. It looks magic based. It looks very heavily inspired by Doom. So that could be good. It's Game Pass, so even if it's not good, like, you didn't pay for it, I guess. I mean, you did technically pay for it by paying for Game Pass, but you know the deal by now. The biggest thing, though, I want to talk about last with xCloud. I really wanted to just save that for last because it's something I really, really like need to dig into the weeds to talk about. They announced an expansion for Wastelands 3 as well as a collection of the DLC for Wastelands 3 that comes out on October 5th. You can buy the whole game for $60 with all the DLCs. Or if you have Game Pass, I think they said it was $20 for all the DLCs. That doesn't sound right. That sounds like a good deal. So I don't know if that's true or not. It might have been 30. A lot of things in the conference were just like, let's go. And then it slowed to molasses. And it's like all the shit that was important, they were just like, yeah. And they just kept moving. And I'm like, fuck, slow down. Sea of Thieves, they announced a special event with Borderlands. That's going on during Gamescom. So if you want the Borderlands event items, you have to play during Gamescom. That's pretty much it. State of Decay 2 gets a new map, technically. They're updating an old map with a bunch of new shit. They made it bigger, basically. That comes out on the 1st of September, so relatively soon. It's an update, so it's free. Stray Blade was announced, I believe. It's in pre-alpha. It's a hack-and-slash cartoony-looking Dark Souls-like game. Dark Souls in that the combat and, like, the style of game that it is looks very heavily inspired by Dark Souls. but I'm not sure if the difficulty will be. It didn't look like it was as difficult as like your Soulsborne games were, but it's not coming out until next year on Xbox Series. So, Crusader Kings is coming to Xbox. I don't know if that was something that was previously announced or not. It's not a type of game I keep up on. So it's a strategy game, a lot like Civ, a lot like Age of Empires. So if you like those types of games, and for some reason you don't have enough of them, or you just want another one, apparently this one's good from what they say. And it's coming to next-gen consoles, they said in the trailer. So I assume that means Series S, X, and PS5. And then it will launch on Game Pass as well, which is really good, but they didn't give us a release date. They talked about Psychonauts 2 for a while. That seemed fairly obvious. They wanted to do a lot of publicity for that game prior to its launch. So that makes sense. Gunk, I think Gunk got announced the other day. It's like this action adventure. It looks like maybe a platformer. I'm not really sure. They didn't show any platforming, but it's about removing gunk and using like this vacuum-y type thing. It looks interesting enough. The environments look pretty cool. All that kind of stuff. And then they ended things on Forza Horizon 5. They showed off a special edition controller, Xbox Series version controller. They showed off the box art. They talked about how it's on Game Pass, and I didn't see a release date. The controller, it's awful. It's truly horrible. Hold on one second. Forza Horizon 5 controller. Let's see. Forza Horizon 5 controller. God, I wish there was a better image. And I need this. Also to compare. So, Xbox decided, oh, that's the wrong thing. Don't worry about it. Here's the piss controller, because that's what we needed. We needed an Xbox piss controller. I like the blue and pink and the white accents, but this, I don't like it. Not a fan. Reminds me of this piece of shit. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. I hate it. This would have been way better. But anyways, Xbox decided we can't be outclassed. We need our own piss controller. So there it is. You have your own piss controller for Xbox. Let's see here. What else was there? That was it. Pretty much. The only other thing was the xCloud on console. So Game Pass Ultimate owners will be able to play cloud gaming, basically any game that enables itself to be played for cloud. I'm not sure if that works individually or if it's like cloud is like PC, mobile, and Xbox consoles, like it just everything just works all together, or if it's like individual switches the devs have to allow for. So their target, I think they said was 10. I know it's 1080, but I think they said 30 frames. But I wrote down 30 and 60 because I didn't exactly catch it. I'm pretty sure it's 30 though. So even they said it. They're like, well, if you have an Xbox One, you'll be able to play Xbox Series games through cloud gaming, assuming that your internet is good enough and assuming the cloud service works well enough. But when I used it on mobile, it was fairly reliable and I found it to be quite enjoyable. And that was when it like launched beta, like second round. So like I assume it is much better now. I haven't used it in a while. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is a bit confusing to me, is that I think what you'll see is that they're going to have a lot easier time just kind of abandoning the Xbox One, in quotes, abandoning, because they're going to be like, yeah, like we're not natively developing the game for Xbox One anymore. We're developing it for Xbox Series. But if you own an Xbox One, you can still play these games, and we give you an option and a way to play these games. And it's actually cheaper, like, to play most of them. So if it's enabled for cloud, which not all of them will be, because of course if they did that, you're not gonna buy an Xbox Series console. Of course, in addition to all of the games that come out that aren't in Game Pass. So obviously, like, they're still gonna have ways that will incentivize people to want to buy the next gen console, but for the most part, I think that this eases a lot of people in more. In addition to the fact that this is what I see, because I've been trying to find a PS5 forever and I still can't find one. The Xbox Series S, while it was like pretty popular when it first came out, is now at a point where it's like relatively accessible. If you just like go online, you can find one. So that's good. I don't know if that's great, but it's good that you can find it. Might not be good for Microsoft because they're not selling like hotcakes, but the Xbox Series X is sold out like everywhere. So that thing's selling well, enough at least. So if you're like, fuck this, I don't feel like waiting for the Series X. I need a new console. I want to get a new console. I can get in. The Series S at 300 is not bad. Like, and with cloud gaming, you'll get a relatively comparable experience. It's not going to be the same as if you ran it natively, I don't think, because you're not going to be able to get 4K. You're not going to probably get 60. You're not going to be able to get 60 frames, 120 frames, depending on the FPS boost. But at least you can get a better experience than you would on Xbox One. And if you're like holding out, then you can like eventually sell your Series S for an X. But when it came to branding, I think it'll be a little bit confusing because Xbox's branding is always super fucking bad when it comes to like exclusives and when it comes to like games. They're like Xbox, like world premiere, first party exclusive, time generational exclusive on Game Pass day one. And you're like, gee, that's a lot of fucking information, my guy. Holy shit. Xbox Play Anywhere. And you're like, oh my god, it never ends with the labels. Holy shit. So like, I hope that they can keep it simple and just be like cloud. Just put cloud. Just like, all right, it works on cloud. Or just like make a symbol for the Xbox One and just like put the symbol for the Xbox One, the PC, and the phone. It would be easier to just do cloud and just make a cloud, and slap that on everything, in my opinion. But again, I don't know if they have to be separated. In my experience, the games that are available on cloud on PC and on mobile are relatively similar in terms of like the library and what's accessible. I haven't really looked, but I haven't really found any that were accessible on one platform but not on another on cloud. So my hope is that cloud's just like its own thing. It's like, all right, here's Xbox for PC, here's Xbox for console, and here's Xbox for cloud, which is really weird, but like you get all three, so who gives a shit? But yeah, that's more or less the Gamescom conference. Halo is like a weird thing, man. They gotta get a release date out like soonish. Like if that game comes out in like November, it's gonna be like September, October, November. Like it's like nothing for them. They usually run pre-orders and shit like way longer, and it's Halo. They're gonna do special editions. So like, are they just not gonna do a special edition this time around? It'd be weird, It's weird. Everything's super weird. Anyways, that's more or less all I have to say on their Gamescom, the press conference that they had there. It was alright. Not great, but it was alright. This is a Gamescom press conference. It is what it is. I didn't have high expectations. I feel like it more or less met my expectations, though they went on way too long with Flight Sim. So overall, decent conference. Not really much really to look at here. Though I think, I forgot to mention cloud gaming on consoles is coming in holiday this year, supposedly, if it doesn't get delayed. Which is good. So, hopefully we'll see that in a slew of drops with games for Xbox One and Series owners. Until next time, I guess I'm Ambassador Michael. I would like to know what you are thinking. So, you can drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Any engagement really is helpful. YouTube doesn't really give a shit if you hate the video or not. They just care if you're interacting with it. And in case you missed it, we were streaming on Twitch, as I'm doing right now while I'm recording this video. So if you want to catch it live, you can always do that too on our Twitch channel. So I will see you all in the next one. And until then, I'm Best Michael.